You don't learn a lot from winning.
No.
But you always learn a lot
Yes.
when you lose, and it makes you have to go back, and it makes you have to evaluate, and it makes you have to make a decision. What am I going to do with this? Am I just going to be like, okay, well, too bad. Or am I going to use this as fuel to get better?
Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jackie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world. Okay, we're back. We are on part 2 of varsity tennis tryouts and all the life lessons learned. So Bella
we
got out on her
that.
first day.
Yep.
And now, so Abby.
So now we're on to Saturday,
right?
On
Saturday. So Abby had to play, and Chrissy first thing, they're right out in the morning. And remember, Friday was a long day. It was 4 hours straight.
Right.
Saturday's supposed to be 10 until 4 or 5. It's going to be a long day. But they get to play first, and so Chrissy ended up winning, which was great.
She did really well.
Abby, unfortunately, ended up losing. So now the coach, she went over to the coach. He kind of said, how'd you feel? He told her a little bit, and he said, well, I'm sorry, but you're cut, right? And so then you were showing up right around that time, correct?
Yeah.
And you want to describe that?
Oh, yeah. Again, I just had this conversation with Bella the day before, and Bella and I were actually driving to meet you guys at the court, and I get a call from you, and you're like, hey, how far away are you? And it was one of those calls that weren't an emergency, where are you type feeling. Every parent knows the difference. It was more of a soft, hey, where you at? And I'm like 7 minutes away. I'm literally down the street. I'll be there in 7 minutes. And you're like, okay, well, Abby just got cut. She lost to one of the girls, and the coach let her know that varsity is not there for her this year. And I was like, oh, shoot, darn it. And you're like, yeah. You're like, so she'll be ready to see you when you get here. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm coming. I'm like, oh, Belle, Abby didn't make it. She's like, oh, I know how that feels. And I'm like, I know. I said, okay, so when we get there, I want you to kind of jump out. I want, Abby to get in the car. After I talk to her for a little bit, maybe you can come in the car and we can chat together. She's like, okay. So I pull up. And I pull up my car, and on the left side is all the tennis courts. I don't know.
The left side of the street.
Yeah, the left side of the little parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Or like 50 people. You know what I mean? It's just swarmed, with all the tennis still going on and stuff like that. And across the little, area, about 10 feet from where tennis is being played, is Abby standing there in the grass. And I'm pulling up, and I'm like, hey. And she's like, hey. I'm like, get in. And she's like, yeah. And you could tell she'd been holding her tears for 8 minutes waiting for me to get there. Mm-hmm. And all the other kids jump out, and I'm like, let's go for a little ride. And we do. And same talk, just having this intense conversation with the kids that had disappointment. I mean, it's disappointing when you don't get what you want.
And you're letting them process it.
Yes. And it's much needed. There's a time to hey, we got this. Let's move on. And there's times to say, hey, come on. What's your feelings? Tell me what's going on. Yeah,
it's a lot different than stop crying when you're so upset. Did you prepare enough?
Right.
That's the last thing they need to hear in that moment.
Yes. And so, she told me.
Nobody beats yourself up more than yourself, right? And the last thing anybody ever needs after failure is for somebody to pile it on.
Yeah.
So
sure enough, she gets in, and she was just like, I don't know what happened. She wasn't even better than me. I didn't get a shot. And she's just going over the whole game with me. And I'm like, hey, hon, I know, and you got this, and I'm really sorry. I just said, I'm really sorry you didn't make it. I'm really sorry that varsity wasn't in it for you this year. Doesn't mean it's not in it at all. And I said, and so I did what every amazing parent would do. Hey, you're awesome. I want to remind you of who you are and what you can accomplish. And I just told her that, you know what? First of all, Your sister already asked if she could practice with varsity. I would too. I would ask your coach if you could do that. Kind of gave her some, practical advice, after she had like a good 15, 20 minutes to process this. And I just said, and just remember, again, like you have 2 more years. You know what you need to work on now. You have an idea of what to expect now. We just went over everything, but it was neat because her sister got in. Bella got in, and Bella's like, hey, I'm really sorry. I know how you feel. Like, this is how I felt yesterday. I'm sorry you didn't make it. And, the two of them had a chance to bond. They really had a chance to talk it over. And they even said, let's ask the coach if we can still try out with the varsity. And we had this thought, which this coach is a really good coach. He's a fair coach. He is a kind coach. Mm-hmm. Like, we really think he's a great coach for our girls. And I even told the girl, I said, I just want to remind you of something. I was kind of alluding to it in the previous one is, our kids do have the opportunity to play several sports. We feel our kids haven't narrowed down to just one sport they want to play. They have a couple of different sports they want to play, and we're really excited about that for them. We want them to enjoy all of high school sports. We don't want them to feel like they just have to hone in on one, even though they want to try another one. And our girls are really athletic, so a couple different sports fills them. Yeah. And so I just reminded them, you guys get an opportunity to play multiple sports. If this was your only sport and you had dedicated 365 days to this and that's all you dreamed about, it would be a different story. But you guys get to do many different sports. And because of that, when you're in each season, you're going to hone in on it. But that doesn't mean that sometimes you might not get the goals and things that you want because you're maybe not spending as much time as some other people did. Yeah. And it was a really good conversation because they both admitted, you're actually right. Like, I haven't gone out there and practiced even tossing up the ball as much as I could have, or I hadn't had as many reps in, like, even though the weather wasn't conducive, but I didn't even go to the gym with Dad and so they got to kind of process some of the things. So it was really good. But again, I want to give kudos to our kiddos because in the end, after they got all their feels out, and Abby had a lot of the same feelings as Bella, that, she rallied. She was like, okay, I just want to sit in the car, Mom, for a little bit by myself. I will be back out there in a minute to encourage Chrissy, but I just need 1 more minute. And I said, great, we're going to give you a little bit of time. And then I want you to come on out. And she did. She came out. She rallied well. She supported well. And then we went home. And again, nothing like a good night's sleep, some fun that night, some energy. We had planned like a family team meeting on Friday. So we really wanted to spend some time together as a family and do our thing. And so we did. And they rallied well. She got some great sleep. And then we kept going with varsity.
Yeah. So then Monday shows up, and Chrissy now has to play another kid, and it felt like it probably would be a lock if she wins this next one. But we weren't really. He wasn't sure. The coach was like, "I'm still evaluating people, so we might go through Wednesday with tryouts." And so, because it was close, he's it's tough. It's tough to make those decisions. And so Chrissy ended up playing.
But first, the weather on Monday. What was the weather like?
Yeah. So it was about 30-mile-an-hour winds.
I know.
Not conducive for tennis. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you're trying to fit into a schedule, and you can't just delay stuff.
No,
and
that's real life.
And also Chrissy was coming off of like the night before having a fever and not feeling well, but she just
Yeah, I think it was just everything. The weather,
Yeah, you're outside 5 hours a day, and it's not horrible, but it's 50 degrees, and you're out there, and there's all this stress and all this pressure.
And you're sweating 1 minute, throwing clothes on the next minute. Yeah. So she really, in all honesty, Monday she was coming in with strong wind and not
a little fuzzy just from not feeling
just
well.
Not 100% herself. Yeah. I mean, not so off that she wasn't going to try out, but
and she was playing a good girl, so anyways, long story short, she ended up losing that game,
I know.
Which was sad. She just had a hard time adjusting to the wind at first, so she got down like 4-0, right? And she ended up starting to come back. She just couldn't overcome the deficit, right? Mm-hmm. And so she lost, but nobody knows if that's it. But it's always hard. I mean, you're watching your babies out there, and after watching her lose, and you have to walk over to the coach and explain what happened. What was the score, et cetera. And you see the fear. You see it like, oh, I hope he's not going to tell me I'm cut.
Sure.
Right? But he didn't. And so they ended up doing the rest of the practice. And then yesterday was like he said, you know what, this is the final day.
But what was neat, though, on the doubles day, is that she got to do some doubles, though. Right after she lost that game, he didn't cut her. And he said, how about a couple of you guys go down and do – I would like to see some doubles work because maybe I can work with this. He didn't want to cut.
That's right.
Chrissy. Chrissy is a very good encourager. She's a strong freshman coming in.
Yep. So
she has a good attitude.
So she got to play doubles with like probably the top 3 girls that were trying out.
That's right.
And she held her own, like
Held
big
her
time.
own.
Was really good. Had a great performance.
That's right. And
next day,
on top of that, she really was an encourager during it. They got to hear how she's such an encourager.
For sure.
Some of her strengths came out. Her leadership skills got to come out. She was really excited.
So Tuesday she had to play a round of doubles where they gave Chrissy a varsity girl and the other kid that was trying out
Pumpkin Eater.
It was Pumpkin Eater, unfortunately, on varsity girl, and they started off and they got down 3-0 to Pumpkin Eater.
Chrissy, yeah.
And so I went over there and watched. I didn't even realize this was happening because they started practicing first. Then Bella walked over to the car. I was just doing some work in my van. And all of a sudden, she's like, "Do you know Chrissy's actually doing a match right now?" I'm like, "Oh." I went out there and sat in the bench, and I'm eyeballing Pumpkin Eater the whole time. Of course, like I'm just like,
You're locked in, huh?
I'm like, "Don't you try it." I'm standing here, right? And so, anyways, they play. She gets down 3-0. They end up coming back and winning 7-5.
Chrissy and her partner.
Chrissy and her partner win, and coach right at that time, right when they just finished, he's like, "All right, everybody, come over here." And one of the assistant coaches goes over and is like, "What was the score of that match? What was the score of that match?" And it was 7-5 to Chrissy's favor. And you could tell this coach likes our daughter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you could tell he didn't want to, but he was almost like I was like, yes, ran over to Coach Percy right away.
The head
coach, and told him like, yeah, Chrissy's team won. Right. And I think it might have been the final deciding factor. So then they list off, okay, he's like, "I promised you all that I would let you know who's officially on the team." And they list off the 10 boys. And they're not in any order. It's just these are 10.
He made that clear. He was like, he's
like,
roster,
so don't read into this. If I know you won, that doesn't mean you're the top player. And 10, you're the bottom of the 10. No. Like he said, it's just the 10. And so he gets to the girls, and I like out there, and it's a little cool. So I have my hands in my pocket, my coat. And he's like naming off, number 1. And I'm like holding my finger up. Number 2, holding my finger up. Number 3, And he's like naming off all these names. And we're sitting here and I'm going, come on. And we get to 9. And I'm like literally holding my breath. I can hardly breathe right now.
So they're going to find you on the floor.
I'm almost going to throw up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And all of a sudden they're like, Chrissy. And they named her number 10. Like it was the most dramatic way you could possibly give it. And I'm like, oh, cheer. And Chrissy, she's so happy. And anyways, it was just such a huge accomplishment for her. And
Pumpkin Eater didn't make the top 10.
She did not. Thank goodness.
But all of our girls were there. Our big girls were there.
Our twins are sitting there listening in.
Yes.
And now we have an ultimate strategy of, this is actually a really good thing. And the twins were really good about, edifying Chrissy and making sure they were proud of her. And but you know what? The twins now are going to play on JV their practice is an hour before varsity, but their plan is to always stay for varsity practice and just be there with their racket and ready. Coach, can we play with the varsity at all? We'd like just a little more instruction. If not, what can we do to serve? Yeah. Can we pick up balls? Can we go do stuff? Can we run errands for you? What can we do to make your life easier and everybody's life easier in the varsity team? Mm-hmm. That's going to be their plan. They're going to be there every practice. And the thing is, Coach Percy, if he has people who are, unaccountable, or if they're missing their grades or whatever, see, Abby and Bella are making themselves known. We are waiting right here to fill any spots that open up, And I know that attitude will win people over. Also, on top of that, it's really good for the twins just to be in that environment.
Yes.
And to realize that they belong there. And so lots of life lessons, I will tell you, as you decompress this, everybody would I know for me, I'd love for all 3 girls to be on varsity together,
of course.
Which I still expect is going to happen.
I do too.
This year.
I think it's happening.
But regardless, I am super thankful for how this all played out, in retrospect, because as you and I know from all of our life experience, you don't learn a lot from winning.
No.
But you always learn a lot when you lose. And it makes you have to go back, and it makes you have to evaluate, and it makes you have to make a decision. What am I going to do with this? Am I just going to be like, okay, well, too bad. Or am I going to use this as fuel to get better?
I was talking to the girls about it. I said, well, here, as we were talking to the 2 girls that didn't make the team at first, I said, here's what we can do. And I gave them some practical ideas. And I said, but here's what we're not going to do, is we're not going to quit. Mm-hmm. just because we didn't make it to varsity this year doesn't mean we just throw in the towel and say, never mind, I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. I go, when you said you were going to go try out, you were going to try out and be the very best no matter where they placed you.
That's right.
And so you will be going onto JV and you will be the very best player. They will see your hard work. They will see your improvement. It'll be a shoo-in for the following year. I go, and they will notice how even when you were disappointed, you didn't come and mail it in. You were just as hard, if not harder, to prove where you should be going. Mm-hmm. And they were like, okay. I go, because I don't know about anybody else. I can just say my story is I remember trying out for the fast pitch softball team my freshman year of high school. And it was a large school, 500 kids in each class. There was 500 freshmen, 500 sophomores. I mean, it was a large school. There was well over 100 kids trying out, right? Mm-hmm. And I was a freshman trying out against people that had been trying out for 2, 3, 4, whatever. And I did not make it my freshman year. And instead of coming back, like we would have asked our kids to do, I want you to contact the coach. I want to see what you can work on. Ask him if there's any way you can just practice with them. See if there's anybody that would be willing to work with you on the side. All these suggestions that we'd be telling our kids, we're not just giving up. That was your sport. You love that sport. Just because you don't get to do what you want doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And I just remember I hadn't done that, and I should have. The next year I should have come back. I actually ended up switching schools and going to another high school. First of all, I should have been proactive and tried out again because it's a different school altogether. And I should have been bold enough to go talk to the coaches ahead of time and try to figure out how I could actually improve to be on the team. And I said, but I do regret that I didn't do that because I loved the sport. And I ended up changing my whole high school years by not coming back and asking. Right.
And you regret it.
I do. And so that's one thing with our kids.
All these years later.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one thing even with our kids. We were like, if this is what you want to do, we will support you. We will do everything we can. We will help you talk to the coaches. We will help you write an email. We will help you get the practices. But no matter what, we're not quitting.
That's right.
And that's one of the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yep. Okay, on to tryouts for Drews this week.
That's right, basketball. I get one day off today from the high stress.
And we are back up again tomorrow.
Which is awesome. All right. Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. See you next time.